Good morning, and welcome back to For Love and Justice, where we shine a light on the shady shit going down right under our noses. I'm your host, Elise Reichard, and today I'm going to read verbatim some of the things that the men who make up our new Broligarchy have said recently. While Trump was busy signing 42 executive orders, these dudes were busy on their bullshit. Throwback. Remember when people were upset that Biden signed 17 executive orders on his first day? Yeah, Trump signed 42. So first up, I gotta cover the most absurd executive order that Trump passed. Apparently, we're all women, according to Trump. So I don't know about you, but when I was in, I think, the 7th grade, I took biology and learned that we all start as females. My dad gave me a book by Bill O'Reilly, actually, when I was in middle school, called Why Do Men Have Nipples? Maybe it wasn't Bill O'Reilly. I need to look that up. Why do men have nipples? He did give me a Bill O'Reilly book. Okay, no, I was wrong. Why Do Men Have Nipples was written by Billy Goldberg and Mark Lehner. But yeah, so I learned along with everyone else at that age that we all start as an X chromosome, which is the female chromosome. But now if you look at the whitehouse.gov website, I'm going to read straight from that. Sex shall refer to an individual's immutable biological classification as either male or female. Sex is not a synonym for and does not include the concept of gender identity. Agreed. Two totally different things. That's the whole point. Female means a person belonging at conception to the sex that produces the large reproductive cell. Male means a person belonging at conception to the sex that produces the small reproductive cell. Yeah, so we're all female. Guys, you're trans, according to Trump. Moving on to the Broligarchy. So last night, Pete Hegseth was confirmed by the Senate as the new defense secretary. Got in by just a squeak. But yeah, a lot of the things he's been saying in his recent past, over the past decade or so that he's been a public figure, aside from his advocacy for a lack of hygiene. He doesn't believe in germs or washing your hands. That was during COVID that came to light. I say came to light. He said it boldly and proudly on Fox News, where he is a host. So yeah, some of the things are catching up with him, and he has since changed his tune, but yet again, I'm here to remind us that the internet lives forever. And on CNN, Pete Hegseth said, quote, "I'm straight up saying we should not have women in combat roles." He can say he's since changed his mind since being up for this role. He can also say he's going to give up alcohol. Those things are yet to be seen. But now Pete has seemed to change his tune upon getting grilled by the Senate. Here's what he had to say at the recent confirmation hearings.
Very clear for everyone here today. As Secretary of Defense, will you support women continuing to have the opportunity to serve in combat roles?
Yes, women will have access to ground combat roles.
So, a little bit of a different statement. They will have access. He just doesn't believe that they should. Essentially. Allegedly. Now, moving on. Well, not moving on. We're still on Fox News. From Pete Hegseth to Jesse Waters. Recently, Kamala, since losing the election, is doing normal things like grocery shopping with her husband, Doug, or Dougie, as Jesse Waters so cutely refers to him as. And yeah, that wasn't okay with Jesse Waters. So let's hear what Jesse Waters thinks about a man attending a grocery shopping session with his wife.
Says she wasn't going to go quietly, but she's been as quiet as a mime. Mamala just launched a blog, though, and we clicked on it, and she wants our email address so she can ask us for money. And she needs it because grocery prices are ridiculous. She just found out about inflation. The New York Post caught her grocery shopping with Dougie Fresh. What kind of husband goes grocery shopping with his wife?
What kind of husband goes grocery shopping with his wife? My dad does. They have a successful, beautiful marriage. He provides for his family. When I come over, he makes me tea in the mornings. He gets my mom's breakfast ready for her because he's retired and she has to be at work by 7:45. That's what a man does, Jesse Waters. A man isn't emasculated by something as everyday, as common as grocery shopping. Were you not married to someone willing to do it for you? Which I do that in my household. I order the groceries. But my husband goes and picks things up as we need them. I don't think he's ever felt emasculated by that once. If you tune into Fox News, that's the kind of stuff you're getting. That's the kind of takes you're getting, that you're not a real husband. You're not a real man if you go grocery shopping. Maybe it's just the with the wife part. I don't know. Dougie Fresh. So clever, that Jesse Waters. Okay, this next one is a bit long. It's Mark Zuckerberg, and he went on Joe Rogan's podcast. One of the many things they discussed was masculine energy in the workplace. And the reason I looked up the transcription, and this is a long quote I'm about to read. But I felt it was important to give it the whole context, not just, a little clip. Because I think there's some meat to what he's talking about, but I think he's severely biased and misled. So, we're going to read what Zuck had to say on Joe Rogan. I think for me, I think a lot of the corporate world is pretty culturally neutered. And I think just having I grew up, I have 3 sisters, no brothers. I have 3 daughters, no sons. So I'm surrounded by girls and women my whole life. And it's I think I don't know. There's something, the kind of masculine energy I think is good. And obviously, society has plenty of that. But I think corporate culture was really trying to get away from it. And I do think that there's just something, it's I don't know, all these forms of energy are good. And I think having a culture that celebrates the aggression a bit more has its own merits that are really positive. And that has been a kind of positive experience for me. Sorry, like I said, I'm reading the transcript and it's rough, so I'm reading verbatim. Just know that. And that has been a kind of a positive experience for me, just having a thing that I can just do with my guy friends, and it's just we're just beat each other a bit. I don't know, it's good. Look, I think part of the intent on all these things, I think, is good. I do think that if you're a woman going into a company, oh, how nice that he thinks of us. I do think that if you're a woman going into a company, it probably feels like it's too masculine. There isn't enough of the energy that you may naturally have. It probably feels like there are all these things that are set up that are biased against you. That's not good either, because you want women to be able to succeed and have companies that can unlock all the value from having great people no matter what their background or gender. But I think these things can always go a little far. And I think it's one thing to say we want to be kind of welcoming and make a good environment for everyone. And I think it's another to basically say that masculinity is bad. And I just think we kind of swung culturally to that part of the spectrum where it's all okay, masculinity is toxic. We have to get rid of it completely. It's like, no, both of these things are good, right? It's like you want feminine energy, you want masculine energy. Like, I think that that's like you're going to have parts of society that have more of one or the other. I think that that's all good. But I do think that the corporate culture sort of had swung toward being this somewhat more neutered thing. And I didn't really feel that until I got involved in martial arts, which I think is still a much more masculine culture. And so, not that it doesn't try to be inclusive in its own way, but I think that there's just a lot more of that energy there. Okay, that was the end of the quote. So, I think what Zuck is talking about here is the growing pains. Since the Me Too movement, I've talked about this a lot amongst my peers. But what we've been going through the past few years, better part of a decade, is growing pains. And to say we need both feminine and masculine energy, yes. If it ended there, absolutely. But it sounds like he's wanting those to be separate spaces, where the quote he says where, he's talking about women's experience and how it probably doesn't feel good that things are set up and biased against you. So he recognizes that there is a system and the cards are stacked against women coming into a men's environment. That's obvious, right? But a lot of times reality doesn't get acknowledged. So I'd just like to point out he is stating that. Not to give him credit, but you can't say it's not that way. Anyway. So he says, that's not good either because you want women to be able to succeed and have companies that can unlock all the value from having great people no matter what their background or gender. So that's great for people to do that. Just do that over there. Do that away from my company that I built on the grounds of rating women who had rejected me at Harvard College. Go back and watch The Social Network. If you don't remember, Google it. That is how Facebook started. It was a place for men to rate women who went to Harvard, and you had to have an invite, and it slowly opened up to, a social network for people in college, which then went from there. I remember lying and about my age so that I could get a Facebook when I was in middle school. We're not going to say what year that was. I'm not going to age myself. But that is the history. So it's really rich now that, everyone thinks this is what happened to him? He's been radicalized by martial arts and he's an incel now. Baby, he was always an incel. That's how this all started. That's the history of Facebook. A lonely dude who we're about to get to, another lonely, insecure man who's obsessed with his own success, Elon Musk. But yeah, nothing has changed. The more things change, the more they stay the same. I also just have to say, being a woman who works in corporate culture, I think the workplace changes because women are given more opportunity. LGBTQ people are given more opportunity. They're there at the table. And I think that's the root of what's going on with Zuck, is that we have invaded his space, his bro space. And that's why this Broligarchy is uniting and standing strong. Because I know we hate the word patriarchy. That's why people hated the Barbie movie. But this is the last stand of the patriarchy before they fall. This is men throwing a temper tantrum that we have invaded their bro safe spaces. We're invading the self-help book market. We're invading the business book market. The Brene Browns are taking over. And at the end of the day, Zuck's right. is feminine energy and there's masculine energy. And when I say that, I'm not even referring to gender whatsoever. You can be in your masculine, you can be in your feminine. And there is a place for all of it. Masculinity by default is not toxic, but there is such a thing as toxic masculinity. And it's when we try to fit people into boxes. You know, it sounds like Mark Zuckerberg has felt emasculated his whole life. And I've read a bit about Elon Musk and his childhood. And I think these men grew up not feeling like they had a place in the world. And so once they got a taste of building their own thing and having their own space, they don't want to share. And that's essentially what he's saying here, is that women can build their own companies. That's great. But tech culture is bro culture, babes. Don't get it twisted. But his words go against the natural progression of time. And at the root of it, if you don't want women in your workplace, do you actually want women in the workplace, or are you trying to force us back into the kitchen? And I think we have to look at these visuals of this Broligarchy, this Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, all of the richest tech billionaires in the world sitting right behind the most powerful man in the world. It sends a message. And on the heels of all of this interview with Joe Rogan, the most powerful man in podcasting, the most powerful podcaster, period. And Zuck seems to think that it's either feminine energy or masculine energy, and they're both good, but separate but good. Separate but equal, but they shouldn't mix, right? Whereas I think you need both energies to balance things out. I think the goal isn't to just make, he says something about making women feel welcome in the workplace versus catering to them. I'm paraphrasing at this point, but this is how I read it. And I just don't think that's conducive. I think it's kind of the way we used to say, we need tolerance for the gay community. It doesn't end at tolerance because it shouldn't. If you're going to be an inclusive workplace, it should work for everyone, not just for the men at the top. And so to act as if the solution is just separate but equal, women go make their companies and leave us bros alone to our empires while we monopolize the entire tech industry and shit on the women who are already here doing the work. Yeah, fuck that. And fucks up. So Elon Musk wants us to stop comparing everything he does to Hitler, right? Can't stop, won't stop, never gonna stop. As long as you keep doing salutes and mirroring the past, I'm going to continue using my voice to call you out. And it's funny that even though we can rightfully point out comparisons to Elon Musk and Hitler, he once compared former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to Hitler on X in a post that has since been deleted. I also I went through some of his tweets, which were hard. What do we call them now? X's? You can't call them X's. That's what our X's are. So, why even change the name? It's so fucking stupid. Anyway, went through some of his old tweets, went through some of the heinous shit he said, and I thought this was interesting. He said, maybe I read too many comics as a kid. They're always trying to save the world with their underpants on the outside of these skin-tight iron suits, which is really pretty strange when you think about it, but they are trying to save the world. He also bases his entire life philosophy on The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is a great book and a great movie. But he seems to be really obsessed with these Batman of the world who, if you really take a critical eye to Batman, he is wealthy as fuck. And yet he spends his time creating gadgets, tinkering with fancy, expensive toys to go around and beat people up, the bad guys, which, yay, but he ends up causing more damage, and he could solve the city's corruption by swinging his money around a little bit instead of his stupid bat cape. So to be obsessed with these fictional superheroes and to have all this money and to feel like you're a real life Batman who could end hunger in the country and homelessness if he really wanted to, but he doesn't, because he cares about himself and his ego and his shiny toys and his material success. Another tweet. So this one is interesting because I think oftentimes those in power want to create division amongst the voters, the people. That way they stay in power. And what we have to remember is that we have more in common with each other than we do with these Batmen. So yeah, I'm going to read this tweet. The reason the Democratic Party is so soft on criminals is that criminals vote overwhelmingly Democrat. They don't want to offend their customers. Democrat Party is literally the party of criminals. This is the equivalency of saying the Republican Party is the party of bigots. Has it been said? Yes. Does it feel good? Is it right to lump everyone in the same category? Also, is it true? Is this based on anything real? No. And it's just another way he Batmans himself when we have more in common with the beggar on the street than we do with Elon Musk. In terms of rights, in terms of money, in terms of everything. This is the first in a series that I will do. I'm calling it Straight from the Horse's Mouth. And Trump has been busy doing his executive orders, but I intend to read verbatim things he says, things he truth socials. Because I think it's really, I don't find it easy to turn away, but I think turning away is the more comfortable choice. And that's why I'm here, right? So you can turn away and I can still bring the news to you in a digestible way. And I just want everyone to remember that while they are sowing division, while they are loving us fighting each other, they're profiting off of all of this. And the cost of eggs just went up again. So keep your head up and pay attention. Stay woke, guys. I know some don't like the word woke, but it just means keeping your eyes open. Notice the patterns of behavior. Even as I read straight from the horse's mouth things the Broligarchy has said, watch what they do. Watch how they move. We can't ignore what they say, but we also can't put full stock in it because it changes every 5 seconds based on their political agenda and based on what the billionaires who have bought them tell them. So yeah, stay woke. And thank you for listening, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, all of the things. And I want to know, what shit have the Broligarchs said that have you feeling a little uncomfy? Find me on Substack. Find me on Facebook for love and justice everywhere. And let me know. Have a good day.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.